Hey guys, welcome to my channel, Sea Bites and Places. My name is Leslie. In this video, we're going to be chatting about what it's like being in Phuket, Thailand, and I'm going to be giving you it from my perspective as somebody who kind of sort of lived there for a month. So towards the end of March this year, I don't know what year you're going to be watching this video, but towards the end of March 2023, I hopped on a one-way flight and I landed in Phuket, Thailand. I was there for a month. I wasn't working, I was chilling, reflecting, taking a break from adulting, and living my best self life on a budget. Keyword, on a budget. Did I say on a budget? Anyway, so I had a great experience, a lot of fun. It was a lot of relaxation, it was a lot of nightlife, lots of beach time. So I wanted to give my perspective based on cost of living, activities, safety, what's the other thing? People, and then also some tea on men and dating. I didn't date anyone there, but I did have some interesting experience with men, especially from the perspective of a black girl. Hey black girl, stay tuned. So let's talk cost of living. So a lot of people will tell you that Phuket is expensive relative to other parts of Thailand like Bangkok and Chiang Mai. I didn't go to other parts of Thailand except Phuket. I do plan to visit Chiang Mai and Bangkok in July. So I will have a little bit more perspective on that when I do visit, but for now I cannot compare Thailand, Phuket to any parts of Thailand because I haven't been. But word on the street is Phuket is a lot more or somewhat expensive than the other cities. And but I will say, if we're just taking Phuket by itself, Phuket is quite an affordable place. I was there for a month and I spent about 2,000 US dollars. That included lodging, transportation, food, activities, and the whole nine. So I'm going to give you a breakdown of what that looked like from all of those different areas. So first, transportation. So for transportation, I would say that I lived in Patong, in the Patong area. It was a prime location. My lodging was in walking distance to pretty much everything that I needed. So I pretty much walked a lot. I was like on my feet all the time. So I really didn't have a need a lot of times to book a taxi or a motorcycle, moped or tuk-tuk or anything like that. So that saved me a lot of money on transportation. I would say what I really needed taxis for or tuk-tuks for were going to certain activities or transporting myself from and to the airport. And based on that, I actually wrote it down just to be sure. I'm going to be looking down to make sure that I give you accurate numbers or accurate estimates. I spent about, I would say 150 US dollars tops on transportation for the entire month that I was there. And that is estimating on the high side, to be honest. So lodging. So for me, I stayed at a hostel. I stayed at Love Deep Phuket. It's quite affordable. I got a junior private suite. It was actually on accident that I booked the junior suite. I was actually going for the deluxe, but somehow I don't know how I did it. I booked the junior suite, and I didn't. They had a no cancellation policy, booking it through Booking.com. So by the time I realized it, I tried to like cancel it or change it. I couldn't. So I was like, what the heck? I'll just do the junior suite. So when I got there, I saw the suite. It was quite small, but honestly, I was like, this is pretty much what I need right now in my life. I just need somewhere to sleep and brush my teeth and take a shower because I'm going to be out of my room for most of the day anyway. So for me, it wasn't a big deal. Anyway, so my lodging was 1,100 for the entire month that I was there. So let's talk food. So food included my daily meals and also cocktails and some drinks during the weekend. So I will have to say that I do intermittent fast most days of the week. So about 4 days of the week, I eat one meal a day. And so that had an impact on my budget. But my meals will consist of protein, carbs, and vegetables. So a whole spread. And then during the weekends, I would splurge and go to like a more upscale restaurant or eatery. And then I also get like cocktails and things like that. And I would say on the average, I spend about $300 on food a month for that month. I never ever cooked. I didn't even boil a pot of water on that entire trip. I ate a lot of fruits. I had some snacks here and there during my cheat days. So yeah. Now let's talk about laundry, because this was an interesting one and this was an interesting experience. So in Thailand, they have a lot of places where you can drop off your laundry to get it done for you. So you don't even have to touch your dirty laundry. You literally just put it in the bag, take it to one of the shops. They will weigh it and they will charge you based on kilos. So for me, my laundry, I did laundry 3 times in the month that I was there, and I always paid anywhere between $6 to $8 US. And they wash it for you, they dry it, they fold it, so you have to pick it up usually within 24 hours. And so for like my clothes, like my regular clothes, I would drop it off at the laundry shops to get them done. And then for my undies, I would take care of them myself, because I have a very interesting way on how I like my undies to be washed. And I didn't really trust that anybody would be able to do it like that, or would care to put in that kind of effort into how I like my undies to be washed. So I did that for myself. I would use the laundry mat at the lodging, the place I stayed. And I would say, on an estimate, doing laundry, my undies, and dropping off my laundry at the shop, it cost me anywhere for like $35 US for my entire month stay. And that includes like detergents and everything. The other thing I spent money on was gym membership. So the place I stayed didn't have a gym, so I had to book a gym membership. And I decided to book with a place called Fitness Hero, and the reason is they are well equipped. They were in walking distance to where I lived, because again, I didn't want to be spending money on transportation for something that I needed to do daily. And the gym just had all the equipment that I needed to work out my body the way I like to work on my body. So that was a little bit of a splurge, because I spent $87 for a monthly membership. Even in the US, I don't ever spend that kind of money on gym membership. I am a $10, $20 a month Planet Fitness type of girl. So that was definitely a splurge, but it was the one thing that I splurged on, so I didn't mind it. SIM card. So this is an interesting topic, because when you're traveling internationally for a month, some people will use international roaming with their local phone plan. So I have T-Mobile, but I've had experiences with T-Mobile with surprise charges, so I didn't want to mess with T-Mobile at all. So what I did was I got an eSIM card through Erlo, and basically the intent of doing that was to maintain my US number. But I also wanted to be able to use local SIM cards every time I go to a country. So my phone has a dual SIM capability, so I can use an eSIM and a physical SIM. So I took out my T-Mobile SIM card and I got Erlo so that I could maintain my US number. So my family and friends had one specific number that they could contact me on. And then I use a local SIM for data purposes. They both work together. You pretty much use your local SIM as like your primary SIM, and then the eSIM as like your secondary SIM. So anyway, I bought a 5G unlimited plan. I forgot what gigabyte it was, but I spent 3,000 baht, which is like Thai money and equivalent to about $80 US. So then we go into miscellaneous stuff, and this is like a really broad category to include things like toiletries. I had an interesting situation when I was in Thailand, in Phuket. my skin just started to act up. I started to break out like crazy. I've been on the struggle bus with hormonal acne since I turned 30, but the type of breakouts I was experiencing in Thailand wasn't hormonal acne. It was like little itty bitty bumps that was on my forehead. I started breaking out around my mouth, my jawline, everywhere. Couldn't figure out what it was. So I started to Google around, and there was this one girl that was like, she had the exact same experience, and what she found out from the doctors was that it was the water that was messing with her skin. And after a couple of Google searches, reading forums and stuff like that, I did see that the water was impacting the skin of some tourists. So I stopped using the water to wash my face, so I had to use bottled water to wash my face. And luckily, bottled water isn't really expensive in Thailand. I was using the big liters. And then I also had to go to a local pharmacy to get some benzoyl peroxide and some local care, just to like kill some of the acne and try to prevent other ones from popping on my face and hyperpigmentation and all of that. Because at that time, the skincare products that I brought with me from the US, including the customized one that was working for me in America, wasn't working for me in Thailand. So I had to go to a pharmacy and have somebody look at my skin and help me with some products that could help. I didn't want to spend money on a dermatologist. I wanted to try that route first to see if it was going to work. But all of that anyway was included in my miscellaneous costs. And I would say I spent around $200 on that. So roughly about 2,000, a little over 2,000, maybe 2,100, 2,200, somewhere around that ballpark was how much I spent for the entire month I was there. Still pretty affordable. Oh, I forgot something important. Activities. So activities, I didn't really do a lot of activities that cost money because I knew I was on a budget. And quite frankly, I didn't really need to do activities that cost money because a lot of things there are super cheap and free. Like I visited Big Buddha statue, that was free. Bangla Road, I was on Bangla Road on bar hopping and things like that. That's relatively free unless you're buying drinks. Had a lot of free beach time. I did take a trip to the Phi Islands. That was my biggest activity. That cost me about $134 because I paid for the photography package. I knew I wanted to snorkel, so I wanted to get some shots of me on the water. So I decided to pay for the photography package. It was a once in a lifetime experience. So, well, I don't know if it's once in a lifetime because I love snorkeling now. I want to snorkel like all the time. But anyway, that's besides the point. So yeah, I would say activities in total, rough estimate will be about $160. So that was my budget. Yeah. So now let's talk about safety. So honestly, I felt so super safe in Phuket. Again, I live in the Patong area. My lodging was very accessible to everything. I felt safer than I feel in the US, just to be honest. Because where I live in the US, I live in Austin, Texas, and Austin is pretty safe. But you know, there were times when I would be going to my apartment and I would feel scared because there were news stories around the country of women entering the apartment and men following them and entering those apartments. So there were times when if I'm going home at a late hour, like 11, 12, 1 o'clock, I would run and I would hold my pepper spray and things like that. But I never, ever, 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 the entire time I was in Phuket, felt unsafe. And I think maybe the main reason is that Phuket has so much life. There are people walking all around all the freaking time. I don't know about all parts of Phuket, like the Karen area and the Kata area, but I would say for the Patong area, man, there are a million people walking around all the time. The place is super touristy, and the local people, they stay up quite late too. There are lots of night markets. There are street vendors selling food, fruits, and all that. So you always see people walking around. I did some snack runs around excuse me, 12 o'clock, 1 a.m. I never felt unsafe. I was chilling at bars by myself at 1 a.m., 2 a.m., and then I would walk home after that. I never felt unsafe. So I would say for safety, I would rate Phuket, I would say like a 98. I don't want to give it 100 because I'm sure there are bad things that happen there, but personally for me, I didn't feel unsafe in any way. All right, so now let's talk about people. So I think Thai people, or the local people in Phuket, as you said, I think they're friendly and they're super appreciative. That's one thing I picked up. So like when you tip, when in my experience at least, whenever I tipped somebody, they were very thankful. They were so grateful. You could tell that they didn't take it for granted. There was this lady that I always used to buy my fruits from, because food safety in Thailand is kind of a thing, so you really have to be careful where you buy food and where you buy stuff. I did have instance where I had like, I think it was 2 to 3 days of like food poisoning, and I actually got sick. But I had this particular lady, I trusted her because I used to see she will always put gloves on her hand, and she was always very meticulous and careful about how she handled my fruits. So I tended not to buy cut fruits from anywhere else but her. And every time I tip her, she would be like, oh, just take this fruit for free. And she would give me like a whole big bag of fruits, and she would literally beg me to take it. Essentially, she was like giving me the fruits based on the money that I gave her in tip. And she was just like always super appreciative. Like every time I tip her, she'd be like, no, it's too much, it's too much. Same thing with the place that I eat at most of the time. The guy who owns the restaurant, he was always super appreciative when I tipped him, no matter how small the tip was. So I think they're appreciative people, and I think they're friendly. I think they like to compliment people. It's funny because there are ladies who sit outside of massage shops. Whenever I was walking by, they will always say, you're beautiful, I like your hair. And they had such fascination about my hair. They would ask me, how long did it take to grow your hair and all of that. I thought that was cute because they don't know the real tea. And I would try to explain it to them. Sometimes they were really confused. But yeah, so on the average, I just thought they were friendly, they were appreciative, they were warm and welcoming people. Interestingly, I also found that they kind of like mind their business. I didn't really find like local people like staring at me intensely. There were some times they would stare at me, and I think that that's just like a curiosity thing. Like, who is this girl running around? I had one instance doing the Songkran water festival. There was this family that literally lined up to take a picture with me, and it was clear it was because I'm black. I wasn't dancing, I wasn't doing anything. I was just standing there taking pictures like everyone else, but they singled me out and they were like, can we take pictures of you? And they were pretty excited. And I've heard a lot of black tourists say that that's happened to them in other parts of the world. So I figured it was because I'm black. Me personally, it didn't make me feel uncomfortable. I thought it was kind of cute and funny at the same time. And I was like, oh, I get to be a celebrity just because I'm black? Like, do you guys want an autograph too? I thought that was pretty funny. But yeah, those were like my only like situations that were kind of like outliers or different. Now, we'll say with tourists, I got a lot of stares, like with other tourists. So Phuket, you see a lot of white people and a lot of other Asian people running around, especially white people. And I found that they would like stare at me intensely, like stare at me. Like if I'm walking, they would like turn around to stare at me, type of staring at me. And I don't know if it was just like the same curiosity thing, and maybe it's a thing of who is this young black girl walking around, running around all by herself, because it was a solo adventure and there aren't a lot of black people walking around Phuket. I don't know if that is what it is, but like I just found like white people just staring at me a lot. Yeah. Now, the juiciest part of this conversation, let's talk about men and dating. So I didn't date anyone in Thailand. Let me just get that off the way. But I did have some encounters or experiences with men, and I never had any type of like dating or romantic encounter with any Thai men. I did chat up with some like Thai men. The taxi drivers that were stationed in front of my lodging, they were very funny. They would like make fun out of me every day when they see me. They'll be like, where are you going now? Or like they would like joke and tease me that if I do book their taxi, they're going to make me pay higher than everyone else, type of thing like that. And like some of the service workers like at the restaurants and stuff like that, we develop a relationship, especially like going there more than once and things like that. Got used to chatting up with them, but it was just like all friendly, all jokey. So as far as like Asian men, I didn't have any like romantic interaction with them. Now when we talk about European men and Australian men and Indian men, that was an interesting experience. They literally, I think they had the hots for black women. It's very interesting. The ones that were pronounced were the Russians. Russian men are bold. They ain't afraid of nobody. They will walk up to you. They will tell you you're beautiful. They will say, do you want to grab a beer? They would just tell you. I don't know sometimes if it's like the language barrier that they don't know like the words or whatever, but they're pretty blunt. I remember this interesting experience. I was like walking with this guy. He's from England, and I don't know, for some reason that day when I was walking with him, it gave other like white men like boldness to like hit on me. Like somebody literally was like throwing me the love sign as I was walking with this guy, and I was like, wow, that's very interesting. And one of them was like joking because we stopped at a bar and I was trying to decide if I wanted to get a drink, and one of them was joking. They were like, well, if you don't want to get the lady a drink, I'll get her a drink. I was like, well, get her a drink then. And we laughed about it. But yeah, they're pretty forward, they're pretty bold. And funny enough, one of my friends, my really good friend, she's doing part of my adventure with me. We went to Malaysia, and the same thing with like Indian men, because there are lots of Indians in Malaysia. We experienced the same thing in Malaysia, even in Singapore. And she was telling me that it's actually common in the US as well. I didn't know that because I don't really have Indian men running in my circle. And in America, men don't just walk up to you and approach you. That's not part of the culture. And I don't do dating apps, so I didn't know that was a thing. But she was telling me like even on the dating apps, like Indian men will like swipe for black women. So black girl, the love of your life might be in Australia, somewhere in Europe, especially Russia or India. When this whole like craziness with the war is over, we need to like hit up Russia to find the love of our lives. I'm joking, but maybe not. Like when I'm 40 years old and I still haven't found the love of my life, I'm going to Russia for sure. If it doesn't work out in Russia, I'll do a tour. I'll do a dating tour. I'll go to Russia and then go to India and then go to Australia and then other parts of Europe. But anyway, yeah, this is my experience in Phuket. I'm sure other people have different experiences. If you have specific questions that you want me to answer, leave a comment in the description box, or you can send me an email. I'll be more than happy to answer your questions. But yeah, I had a great time, and I would highly recommend Phuket to anyone who's interested in beach vibes, nightlife vibes. If you're a black person, you're wondering or worried about whether you're going to feel safe, I can't guarantee you that you're going to be safe, but I can say that from my experience, it's a pretty safe place to be. And if you use your money right, your money will go a long way. Thank you for watching. See you later.